into too much detail as far as introduction. The title of his speech is "Do We Need Teachers?" And what do you all say to that?
Good one.
When I picked the title and the subject of this speech, I never knew what the word of the day was going to be, because that line is the line that I'm going to approach this from. You see, and I'm going to give you a little bit of history here. In fact, I'm going to give you some ancient history just for a moment, because back when I was in the first grade, my parents moved us down from Pennsylvania. And one day, my first 6 weeks or 9 weeks or whatever it was back in those days, my teacher called my mother and asked for a parent-teacher conference. So my mother goes into the school. She came home that night. She was hot. She was angry because my teacher, my first grade teacher, was upset because I already knew how to read. Yes, see, in Pennsylvania, they have kindergarten. My parents started teaching me how to read when I was 4. I love to read. My teacher didn't like it because she felt like Jackie is going to be bored because he already knows how to read. Not really, I just read ahead of everyone and left them behind. Oh well, such is life. Education in this country is not consistent. Now please understand, I am not advocating the government to come in and control every aspect of education. Education is a state and a local function, not federal. I think the Department of Education should go the way of the Goonie bird, only sooner. But to talk about the plundering function, the amount of money we spend every year, oh, you all caught that one. The amount of money that this country spent in 2007 on education was $562 billion, $300 million on education in all the states and territories. That's $562.3 billion. I memorized that. That came from the Department of Education. I didn't make it up. One of the interesting little facts, too, that I just happened to notice along the way is there's something in there that is not education related, is the little bit that is spent on school lunches and school breakfasts. Comes out to $10.3 billion a year. That's a lot of money to be spending on food, and that's not really an educational function. That's a function of there's either something wrong at home or there's something wrong with our educational system to be spending money on food for children. I don't know. I'm not going to judge that. I know there are hungry people in this country, and I don't judge them, and if we can get them food, fine. But $11 billion worth, that comes to almost $225 for every child in school. And by the way, in 2007, there were 47,700,000 children in public schools. Did I mention homeschooling? No, I didn't. 1.5 million children in homeschools being homeschooled by their parents. The primary reason the Department of Education said for that is because the parents wanted to do this so they could give their children the morals and the religious experience they would not get in school. And I can understand that because, after all, I don't want my teaching my child morals and religion. It would be nice, but we don't know their background. I would prefer to do that myself. I didn't get any numbers on how many were in Christian schools and how many were in private schools, but there were probably quite a few students there too. Our country has 13 levels of schools that is all grouped into one big category by the Department of Education, and those are the numbers I gave you. None of the numbers that I've given you have anything to do with colleges. It's all K through 12. Having said that, what do we get for our money when the end comes and the child gets up, walks over, flips their tassel, takes their diploma, and walks out the door? Approximately 40 to 45% of the students in any one year don't flip the tassel and they don't get their diploma. Some of them don't even get a GED. We're not getting a lot for our money that we're spending. One other little thing here, since we're talking about deficits these days, let's talk about teacher pensions. There are 59 teacher pension plans in this country. The reason being, some states have plans that are only for teachers, some states have plans that are for teachers and other state employees, and some states are just confused. So we wind up with 59 different plans. And having said that, pension plans for our teachers in this country today are, on the average, at least in 2007, according to the Manhattan Institute, were 54% funded. In other words, they were short 46% of what was supposed to be put in there because those are defined benefit plans. To get the benefit, you have to put a certain amount in each year. If you don't do that, you come up short. The Manhattan Institute said that at the best estimate, using normal, everyday, non-conservative accounting, pension plans across this country were short $332 billion. If you didn't notice, that's a third of a trillion. Using what they called conservative numbers. Now, when you're doing a pension plan, you have to make assumptions. And the assumptions are based on usually conservative numbers. The more conservative, the more money you have to put into the plan. The plans could be, in this country, $933 billion short. That's our new deficit. That's our next bomb in the back door. It's the next thing to blow up in our faces will be pensions. My pension is underfunded also where I work, and I don't work in a school. Isn't it fun? But we need to understand that our schools are in trouble. I can see a day when there may be no public schools, when we may be educating at home. Do you know that if we took 562,300 individuals, made them a neighborhood teacher, had them teach their neighborhood children, we could pay each one of them $1 million. That's what we're spending in this country. 562.3 billion divided by 562,300, $1 billion per teacher. That might be one way to solve the problem.